What do you want to do? Go off! What don't you want to do? Not go off! What don't you want to not do? Go off! What don't you want to not don't want to do? Not go off! It's going off with Rap Critic and Muse. You know, back in the day, people were asking what's going to be the next big thing in music, and for a minute there, people were speculating that, hey, you know, it might be this hot new Swedish band, The Hives, and, you know, it didn't quite come to pass, but they got that new album out, and that's what I wanted to quote from on this episode. I was listening to the new Hives album, The Death of Randy Fitzsimmons, and I know everyone has been talking about the Hives, the long-awaited return of the Hives. Everyone knows the Hives, right? Everyone remembers them.
It's just thinking about it. Yeah.
Oh, hate to say I told you so about the Hives and about your skin condition, but yeah, the album's it's fine. It's not amazing, but it was a fine enough listen. But thinking back to the early 2000s and the Hives' heyday and everything, and also a very unfortunate diss track that's been making the rounds, it got me thinking back to the king of early 2000s pop culture, and that's gotta be your boy, Marshall Mathers. Eminem! Taking shots at kids in his diss, and everyone's like, this is the most boomer shit I've ever heard.
In the latest one? I thought he was taking the shots at the old man, the older man.
Oh, I was thinking of the wrong one. I was thinking of the one where he was like, you kids today are offended by everything. Y'all don't know about anything but shooting up schools.
Eminem?
Yeah. And he said that, I don't know, is that all he's doing these days, is releasing periodic diss tracks like fucking KRS-One?
I don't know, it's like what Cardi B does now. Like, she doesn't actually release albums.
What does she do?
Every couple of months she's like, by the way, I'm still alive, so here's a guest verse on a song.
I was literally, yesterday I was listening to WAP, and I was like, has she had anything come out since this? Like, have I just been, like, she's been flying under my radar for, like, literal 3 years or something at this point?
It's like she's shy or something. Like, what the fuck is going on?
I didn't think so. You wouldn't think so from what we've heard up to this point, but maybe. She had us all fooled. I heard Eminem do the thing about...
oh, that's right. He did mention, at one point. And I don't know. I would think that would make kids, this generation, pretty goddamn brave if this is what they're normalized to dealing with, you know? Like,
there's a song I was actually going to quote once we get into this, from what many consider to be...
the living shit out of it.
Oh! The album many consider to be his best, the Marshall Mathers LP. I've got a song I wanted to quote, but we'll get to that here in a second because it's relevant, but, you know, school shootings and everything, unfortunately nothing new, and in the time when Eminem started the whole Columbine thing was like...
That is a good point! Wow, he's gone from like, oh, look at me being subversive by pointing it out, to being like, oh, you kids today. That is a weird full circle. I didn't even think about that.
Was it Melly Mel that wrote back?
That's what it was, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that, and people were torn on whether or not that was good or bad, his fucking response thing. You know,
it sounded like it came from the 80s, like, with how, like, echoey it was. It was just like, what's going on right now? And wasn't it only, like, a minute and a half long? It was, like, barely that.
It was like... very short, but, you know, for a guy from way back to respond in any way was admirable, in my opinion.
Ironically, the length of a modern rap song is...
Honestly, yeah. But I was thinking...
also unnecessary. And on the 50th anniversary, that's what I wanted to get out.
Oh, just God, that's right.
On the 50th anniversary of hip-hop. Can you believe this shit, folks?
Yeah, what the fuck, man? Your timing couldn't be worse.
We got the proverbial Mike Tyson fighting the proverbial Muhammad Ali. Like, no matter what happens, I mean, the younger person's clearly going to win, but this is just going to be sad no matter what. Like, the relative younger person is probably winning this one, but this isn't like a, you know, oh, we're not, you know, clapping our hands and throwing our popcorn at this one. Like, this is sad. This shouldn't be happening.
It's like when Logan Paul challenges, like, a retired boxer. and
that's
beats
like, what
him.
are we
It's
doing?
like, yeah, I mean, you did, but we all still think you're a giant asshole, and we see what you're doing. Like, we're not impressed. His stuff in WWE, though, has been very, very impressive. Hate the guy or not, and I do. He does have some really, really good matches. I gotta give it to him.
Who? Eminem?
No, Logan Paul.
Melly Mel? Oh.
Melly Mel.
I
Yeah.
was going through the names. I'm like, is that why Melly Mel's like relevant recently? He's just like, I know what I'll do to keep my steam going. You know? I mean, dude, have you seen how like brolic this guy is? He's so like an old man should clearly not look like that. He's clearly like, you know, on something. You know what I mean? It's like one of those like, oh, is there like an image thing going on here? Because like this man should not be this old and have such definition. You know what I mean?
They went from Bad Bunny to Melly Mel.
Yeah. I watched a Dead End Hip Hop's conversation. They had a good point where they're talking about how, like, you know, it's like, are we really, you know, listening to this dude over here for who the cool white guy is? What was the last white boy you co-starred? Oh, Macklemore? Is that what we're saying?
I was just thinking about that, and I just saw that music video again for the first time in years a couple days ago. The fucking downtown video where like...
Oh, yeah, where they're on the mopeds or whatever the fuck he was trying to make
it's a song about buying a moped.
I couldn't believe... Like, I enjoy the song for the ridiculousness of it, but there's like that sort of like... You know, it's the Kesha, are you kidding or with me or are you not about like, are you really trying to make mopeds a thing or are you joking about the fact that you're trying to make mopeds a thing? You know, it's like, what are you doing right now? Like with the thrift shop thing, it's like, oh, I'm joking, but I actually do go to the thrift shop. It's like, oh, I'm joking, but... Are you really trying to get me to buy a moped? Because I'm not getting a moped. Like, you know?
And there's so many people on that fucking song that Macklemore ends up being the worst part of the song. It's like, you have all of this interesting shit going on.
Yeah.
You got the fucking old dudes doing their shit, their fucking throwback style. You got
like a three-part song, yeah.
You got the dude from Foxy Shazam killing it on the chorus.
Downtown.
And then you just got... Hey girl, put your ass on my handlebars. And it's like, boo.
You're so right.
Go back to the other stuff. This is the blandest of all of it. Fuck out of here. You Grammy Award winner? Shut up. This is something I do in my pastime. It's my fucking... It's my hyperfixation. Y'all gotta give me a fucking pass on this one. I was listening to a radio show from 2002, right?
I get it though.
It was the day after the VMAs, and they were talking about Eminem's whole deal with Moby. Specifically, they didn't really talk about his thing with Triumph as much, but that's his whole other thing. So if you look up...
Yeah, that's the one I remember the most.
See, this is why I think... And Eminem has... I will say this at the top. He has gone back and said, like, what the fuck was I thinking with this? Like, I didn't handle this in a good way at all. Like, I really overreacted.
Yeah, I could have been more mature with the talking puppet.
He's mainly talking about Moby here because, like...
Oh!
So...
Half these beefs I remember, as a kid being like, yeah, I'm down for Eminem, but why do you hate these people? What's going on?
Yeah, like, it's always weird to hear him dissing ICP out of nowhere. It's just like, huh, I guess he kind of had to be there. This specifically is peak, you gotta fucking be there. Because what happened was, Moby was being interviewed about, like, musicians today, and he says, and he was asked, or he was talking about Eminem, and he said, like, I like Eminem, he's really talented, but he's also, like, homophobic and misogynistic, and I don't really fuck with that. And that got back to Eminem, and he got so fucking mad.
Yeah, I'm homophobic? What? How dare he say that? How dare he comment on my music that I'm making?
He got so mad that he fucking wrote the line in Without Me, calling Moby a homophobic slur, just doubling down on it.
That'll show him. That'll teach him to call me homophobic.
But the funniest part was, when Moby was asked about it, he thought it was funny. Like, he didn't even care. Moby didn't even fucking mind. And I will admit, I will acknowledge, or anyway, that Moby isn't a saint either. Like, he kind of sucks, we found out recently. But, and I'm sure people kind of forgot about that whole thing, but yeah, he's fucking weird. But, aside from the whole, like, what was it? He was saying that he dated some actress.
Right.
And she was like, what? No, we didn't.
What in the world?
I forget who it was.
What in the world?
But moreover, and I didn't know about this. I'm sorry, folks. This is peak going off. Like, we're going... Like, someone needs to do
going off.
Someone needs to do the... It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia fucking red rope, like the red twine to try to get us back to where we started. Moby had a music video for a song that came out in, I think, 2016 called, like, Tell Me If You're Lost Like Me or something like that. And the music video, you're gonna think I'm making this up. But I'm not. Like, this is so fucking cringe, and I don't like to say things are cringe, but this is so cringe. And we're talking about how Eminem is like boomer pilled out of his fucking mind. Listen to this plot of this music video that Moby had, like, in 2016, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody is walking around staring at their phones, right? Mm-hmm. And they just, like, they don't know what's going on around them.
Flashback 100 years, everyone's looking at newspapers these days. What's up with that?
They're all just marching down the street, and this one character, who I guess is supposed to be the Moby self-insert, is like, hey, folks, look, you gotta see what you're doing. Oh, but no one pays him any attention. They just shove him out of the way. And all this, and there's, like, really weird moments that, like, make fun of, like, the Kim Kardashian break the internet picture randomly. That's in there.
Oh, how 2016. Oh.
It's very topical, very timely. But the big crux of the music video that's supposed to make you feel so bad is that this video goes viral of this girl, and she's so embarrassed by it because everyone in town is laughing at her that she climbs to the top of this tall building. And everybody just pulls out their phone and they're filming her because they know she's going to jump and they want to catch it on video.
Oh, I don't care. Oh,
they just don't care, man. And she jumps and they all just film her all the way down. And as soon as she lands, they all just
Black
walk
Mirror
away.
Episode.
They all just carry on with their day like they're so unaffected. But the Moby self-insert, he's just shocked and he's just, oh my god, I can't believe this. And the fucking video ends with everybody on their phones walking off a cliff.
Oh, the livings. Oh.
I could not fucking believe how textbook, like,
right.
Like college.
Like when we look back in 40 years, this is how they did commentary on what they felt was the worst things at the time, you know?
So
like,
thought-provoking. Oh my god, won't you just wake up, sheeple? Moby has something to say.
Hey, let me tell you something right now. If we're gonna go for this, I think that books are evil, and my perfect example is Stephen King. Did you know that Stephen King got hit by a car while he was reading a book? Look it up. This is actually true. He likes to walk while reading for some reason. This is actually a true thing. Some reason. Yeah, and he got hit by a car while he was like fucking walking down the street and just goddamn just reading a book and not looking where he was fucking going. So my evidence to you, you know, an author got hit by a car while reading a book. So I mean, look, hey, books, man, gotta look out for those books. I just gave you an example, and you know it's not a lie. So look, man, you gotta keep an eye out for reading books, man. I'm just saying, there's one almost casualty. You know, do you want to be next? You know. So
what happens with Moby? He's kind of like unaffected by the whole thing. Fast forward to the night of the 2002 VMAs. It starts with Triumph the Insult Comic Dog doing some random interviews in the audience.
Sure.
And he goes up to Moby, and Moby is in very good spirits about the whole thing. He's laughing. And Triumph asks him about the line "and without me." And his whole joke is like, hey, he calls you a 36-year-old virgin.
Bald-headed.
Bald-headed virgin, and they bleep out the F word, and it says like, but that's not true. You're like 35, right? And to Moby's credit, he's sitting there, he's laughing along, he's not really taking it seriously, even though Triumph is like one of the most you had to fucking be there things. But even then, I thought it was so fucking unfunny. I hated Crank Yankers. I thought that whole shit was so fucking whack. But looking back on it, people thought that shit was so fucking funny, and I just don't get it.
You know when you're a kid, because I remember liking Crank Yankers, but it's like, it's one of those things where like, but I also remember realizing how stupid it was, where it's like the, I got mail, like, I remember being like, especially by the time, interestingly enough, Eminem got on the show, and it was, I'm Eminem, and I'm pretending to be special needs and saying I got mail. Doesn't that make it more hilarious? It's like, no, it doesn't, Eminem.
Like, I thought TV Funhouse was okay.
TV Funhouse was fun. Yeah, that one was a funny one.
But, goddamn. And at that point, Triumph goes, oh, well, let's ask the man himself. He's right over here. Oh, and at that point, the camera pans over, and Eminem and his posse are standing there. And Eminem says something like, nah, man, I already had my screen time. I don't want to do this or whatever.
The most thin-skinned. Oh, my God. It's so insane.
And he, like, shoves the Triumph puppet out of frame, and he's like, okay. And as the Triumph puppet just awkwardly looks at the camera, you hear the fucking announcer go,
please welcome Christina Aguilera.
We need to move this fucking show on. So Christina comes out in this hot ass, I don't even know how to describe this thing. It's like this cross-chested thing that literally the only thing covered are her fucking tits on this outfit. It's so 2002.
The sixth element type deal.
Not even that. It's like a weird cross thing. It's so weird. And she's got the fucking early 2000s white girl dreads rocking.
Oh, of course. With the different colors, yeah.
It was a different time. So she walks up, fucking Dirty is playing, because that's her new single. And she introduces the category of, like, best male music video. And Eminem ends up winning. And...
oh, wow.
You could just tell how people felt about Eminem at this time period, because Christina just opens up the envelope and goes,
interesting, Eminem.
Like, she's just so over it, but not like, oh my God, I can't fucking believe this, y'all. You're really making me do this? It's just like,
there's a certain level where it's just like, okay, they had to have done this on purpose, right? Like, getting
for sure.
Aguilera, better switch me chairs so I can sit next to Carson Daly. Like, we've all heard that song by this point. Like, yeah.
Now, first of all, as a kid watching that music video, fucking kayfabe brain, I was like, wait a minute, but Carson Daly's in the video, so I guess he's like, oh, no, yeah, it was Carson Daly and Fred Durst were in the video, right?
He was? Oh, man.
And then but like, it was weird that they were both okay with it, I guess, but we gotta have the blow-up doll as Christina Aguilera, so like, I guess they're in on the joke, and they also think it's funny? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to try to unpack.
I don't know. Yeah,
so,
90s, yeah.
I was reminded, by the way, did you ever hear, back in the day of file sharing,
oh, I've never heard of that. I would never do such a thing.
It was accredited to Christina Aguilera, but it absolutely wasn't. It was a diss track, and it was like, will the real Slim Shady please shut up?
I think I remember this.
And it was supposed to be from the point of view of Christina, but it like, the rhymes aren't terrible. Some of it is. But some of it's actually kind of clever, but the voice is like a dead giveaway that this is absolutely not Christina Aguilera.
Right.
So she says Eminem comes up.
Is that actually, I'm sorry, I've never really paid as much attention. Like, that is actually them. I never.
Yeah.
It's so funny because, like, the way I know Eminem and Fred Durst is that they are people who are beefing with each other and who would never appear in each other's videos. But this is like a Quentin Tarantino appearing in Girl 6, Spike Lee's Girl 6, where you're just like, what? I thought you guys hated each other. What's happening? Like,
right? It's so strange.
It's like the week before this major tiff happened, I guess.
So Eminem comes out. He accepts his award. And there's some random booing from the back of the room. And I still don't know exactly who starts the booing. But Eminem believes that Moby is starting the booing. So he says, he stops what he's saying, he stops his thanks and goes,
Little Moby girl threw me out of my zone for a minute. My manager, Paul. All my attorneys, my production staff, Steve, Louis, keep booing. Keep booing, little girl. I will hit a man with glasses.
I remember that.
And at that point, the audience completely turns.
Family, Haley, everybody, Nate, my brother, and Betty, my Uncle Jack.
And they're booing the absolute shit out of him. It's so fucking loud. It's like Outkast at the Source Awards. They're like throwing shit at him.
Eminem's beefs are always so, and for someone that, like, you know, let it not be mistaken, who I think is like one of the best lyricists, and, you know, because, you know, you see how he constructs rhymes and flows and it pays attention to all that shit, you know, at least in the heyday of his career, you know, and it's kind of like, why are you wasting your time with all this shit when you're like clearly this technician and you're like beefing with fucking Triumph the Itself Comic Dog, Moby, fucking who else was, I mean, Cannabis, but even that was like
at
pathetic.
Least Cannabis is in your genre.
Right, at least Kuniva in your genre. But even then, he's not even on your, like, level. Like, by the time in 2003, when he's doing the square dance song, he's like, Cannabis won't square dance with me. It's like, dude, Cannabis's corpse has been stomped on by LL Cool J by 2003. Why are you even driving by to spit on this man? You know, like, why even deign to do so, you know?
It's just very funny to me that he doesn't typically go after rappers. It's usually...
Yeah, right.
But, which is why I wanted to bring up this. And I'm very glad that you hyped him up as this, you know, lyrical miracle technician, because I wanted to read this. And this is just going to dispel...
Tom Cruise mom shoes.
No, not Tom Cruise mom shoes. Boo. Let him go. Let him go. Oh my god, that's like 8 years ago in going off years.
Still giving.
The guy that Cannabis was going up against looked so fucking mad.
Yeah, it's like, I
with this
cannot
pre-written shit that the host was like, no, let him go. And he's like, I spent a lot of time on this. Boo. Anyway.
In a cast looking like a Timothy. All right.
The cast.
Oh, there's always that extra detail that's just like, what?
The cast in the big.
Why are you even here, man?
Anyway. So, I think it's very funny that this is also from a song called I'm Back. So, you gotta think. Eminem is back in true form. He's back and it's full speed ahead, both doing
the things you're used to me doing.
Oh, both barrels ablazing. So he starts out, I take 7 kids from Columbine, stand them in a line, add an AK-47, a revolver, a 9. A Mac 11, and I ought to solve the problem of mine. And that's a whole lot of bullies shut up at one time. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. I think that, you know, that works. Because I'm shady. They call me as crazy as the world went over this whole Y2K thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, NSYNC, why do they sing? Am I the only one who realizes they stink? Should I dye my hair pink and care what y'all think? Lip sync and buy a bigger size of earrings. This sucks, dude. This fucking patch right here.
Again, these disses where it's just like, and again, it's so you had to be there moment, right? Because it's the night he's taking down, you know, these guys are fake, but it's like that's not even really like a dig at them. Like, oh, you know, they dye their hair. Oh, you got him, Eminem. You know what I mean?
Like he seriously, I'm surprised he didn't call him In Stink with how uncreative
I was just about
this
to
fucking
say
shit is. Did you seriously rhyme In Sync with They Stink? I can't fucking believe this. This is your second album. You're established at this time. But this is also the same album where he took fucking time to make a random Tom Green diss.
Yeah, and then again, dissing and saying Posse, I'm not afraid to diss 2 females who wear Lee nails, and put on makeup or something like that. And it's like, dude, they're literally, in fact, you know, tell the truth to shame the devil, but is it just me or did they not get more popular after that diss happened? Where like they started selling like platinum upon platinum records after that. Like, it might have been... Because it was like 2000. It was. I think they were still like, they were certainly doing their own thing, but it felt like there was like a bump that of course is going to happen when the biggest rapper in the world brings up your name apropos of nothing. Like they were talking about him.
Like, were they seriously just like, I'll diss you so we can both do better out of this? Like,
because what originally happened, I think it was like when he was doing his first album, doing the promo, he's like, FICP buy my CD.
Yeah.
Which is, first of all, like, again, these disses are just so shallow of like, FICP, but no one's even talking about ICP. Like, if you would stop bringing them up, they wouldn't have been brought up. You know what I mean?
I think this verse kind of goes off the handles again. It's a weird Neapolitan ice cream thing of 3 very different flavors. We start with the Columbine bit. Then he takes his attention and he talks about NSYNC for a bit. Then he goes, so I just throw up a middle finger and let it linger longer than the rumor that I was sticking it to Christina. Because if I ever stuck it to any singer in showbiz, it'd have been Jennifer Lopez. And Puffy, you know
Puffy,
this.
you know this.
I'm sorry, Puff, but I don't give a fuck. If this chick was my own mother, I'd still fuck her with no rubber.
And Buzz Insider, and what does he say?
Buzz Insider and have a son and a new brother. It's like,
at the same time, just say that it ain't mine.
What the fuck? Like, it went in such a weird direction that he kind of saved it a little bit.
It's so ridiculous. It's just like, I think Eminem, at a certain level, is like, it's a comic book character. You know what I mean? Where it's like, ooh, I mean, honestly, it's a better, his music is a better version of that awful digital, that web comic or web video.
Oh.
Remember, it's like Slim Shady. Remember that fucking
the Slim
South
Shady
Park
show or
video they tried to
whatever.
make? I was like, get this shit out of my face. Let's get into the, meat and bones of this bullshit.
The Eminem adjacent D12 alumni.
That's right. We've already covered one. One down. And I actually did do a live listen of Proof's album, the Looking for Jerry Garcia. I did a live stream where someone requested Proof's album, so I've listened to it.
I was gonna say, I don't think we ever talked about Proof. It was just on your thing.
Yeah, but we both reviewed Bizarre's first album.
Yeah.
So we've gone through a bit of their material, and I mean, not a lot of great stuff on the Bizarre album. And unfortunately, to say, even though Proof was my favorite member of D12, like I always felt he was my favorite member of the Posse Cuts. Like, the album was a little weak. I honestly, I had to say upon first listen, the only song I really remember from there was the Jump Bitch song. And even that felt a little underwhelming, going back. And, it just feels very, mid-2000s horrorcore rap. You know what I'm saying? You said you're afraid to jump, and you're suicidal, but I don't care. Jump, bitch. It's basically that type of... But then, the song ends with him going, hey, bitch, don't be afraid. Look me up, tap dancing on the edge of... And so he falls. So it's like a bit of a joke there,
Did you read that... Even though D12 has largely disbanded, that your boy still kind of, every so often, I don't know if he does it anymore, but he was there for a while touring with Bizarre.
Who?
Kuniva.
Kuniva? Oh, yeah, everyone knows the members of the band that everyone's coming to see.
It was Kuniva, Bizarre, and... there was a third guy.
Either Con Artist or Swifty McVeigh.
It was Swifty. Yeah, Swifty McVeigh. Yeah.
And now here's the thing. I know these guys because this is the quintessential, if you grew up listening to a rapper and then you have that moment where they go, and here's my friends that you definitely should check out who are totally on par with my lyrical talent. That's why you gotta check them out. And now I've always enjoyed them for what they were, of course. And of course, Proof was always my favorite, just because he had the interesting voice, and it always felt like he was the most next to Eminem lyrically. But I don't know. Did you ever listen to much of the D12 songs like Purple Hills and stuff like that?
Back in the day, I fucked with Purple Hills pretty hard.
Yeah, that one definitely was their hit.
Purple Hills, Purple Pills, whichever, and. And as you might remember, when we were talking about our Eminem videos or whatever, I tried to fight to keep my band out of the worst songs because I don't think that's as bad as you seem to think so. It ain't great.
Eminem is what makes that song as bad as it is. You are right that the rest of the group isn't as bad, and they make the song. But it's like, for what Eminem was, like, that's, you know, what that's... For me, it's a what the song represents sort of thing, you know what I mean?
It's also slightly relevant, but I was just reminded that a couple weeks ago, there was... It wasn't real discourse, it was joke discourse.
I want all the guys to take off that.
Oof.
Classic material.
Look, there's a reason it's at the end of the song. You can skip ahead. As soon as Bizarre's part starts, you can skip.
Possibly his...
Or you can skip right as he says the real Roxanne, and then you can skip right there. Because then you still get the Superman video. I was in the back. Lose yourself video. I was in the back. You can still get that, which is fine. That's funny. But you don't need to, you don't have to have that little boy band singing bit they do, and then my name on my hand. You don't need to do any of that part. Or my underpants. You don't need that. Any of my salsa. You don't have to hear any of that.
The dumb milkshake parody. I didn't even know it was a milkshake parody till like years later. I was like,
that what he was
going? Yeah, that's what he was going for.
Oh my god, no. Wow, holy shit. Anyway, holy shit.
You had to be there, folks.
Years from now, Eminem's whole thing is gonna be, look, y'all, you just had to be there. This white boy was crazy.
This white boy was off the hinges.
No, what I was gonna say was there was fake trans Twitter discourse about Eminem in the D12 video when...
What? Oh, because he looks like a kind of hot chick?
Yeah, when he's the two girls. Oh my god, Marshall, let me suck your cock. And
like,
so many of the comments were like, yeah,
I'm kind of jelly right now.
Everybody was just kind of like openly just kind of acknowledging, yeah, you know, Eminem didn't look half bad in that.
Dude, I remember that. I remember having that moment of like, you know, they're playing this as a joke.
Estrogen could have saved him.
No, I could totally imagine this video cutting and be like, oh, is he gonna go bang himself? Like, you know, he has a moment where he like honestly stops and is like, hey man, say. You know?
See, I'm telling you, Eminem was funny in that whole thing, the video and the song. Anyway, was Kuniva in that song at all?
In my band?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all in the song. Because we gonna be late for sound check. I ain't going to sound check. Man, my mic screwed up. Yeah, this always sound best. Man, I'm gonna say something. Yo, Em, you got something to say? Man, nothing. I was about to tell him off, man, what's up? I was, you know, the whole thing, how it goes.
So he was in that part?
No, yeah, and usually Kuniva and con artists are like the Phil and Lil of the group, where it's like, anytime it comes to them, they always do like a trade-off, right? Yeah, because it's like in Purple Pills, it was like that, you know, it's like, fuck that, someone Elton on. He's upstairs wrestling with Elton John. Again,
oh god.
This was the era. This is the era.
It's been so long since I listened to Purple Pills. It's probably so much worse than I remember.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things where, again, this is the era of the edited versions are usually better when they're like so bad that they make them have to, because he says like, fuck that, someone Elton on. He's upstairs naked with a weapon drawn. Like, that's so much better of a line than wrestling with Elton John T. Like, that's so lame, you know what I mean?
Why would that get censored out?
Well,
anyway.
I mean, because it's like, you know, gay joke reference. You know?
I mean,
like,
yeah, but it's just a name drop.
Mainstream radio saying what, including a gay. They're not cutting it out because that's bad to include gay people in a joking way. They're cutting out to say references to gay people is going to get the family crowd calling into the radio station. So cut that out. That's what that was about. You know what I mean?
Okay.
What was I saying? Oh, and then wasn't there the later line like, "Stop acting stupid. You're so high that you might wake up with a guy on some new shit."
That's right. Naked with a weapon drawn is the Purple Pills version.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So the Elton John
That's
is
weird.
the clean version.
That's so weird, man. Like,
The weapon drawn is worse.
when you have these moments of like realizing which version is which, like, and you know what's interesting? I remember hearing that there was an interview with like Violent J from Insane Clown Posse, where there was one of the songs, I think it was Three Little Piggies or something like that, where like, you know, the record label made them have to rewrite certain parts, but like he actually liked that because he got a second chance at certain lyrics where he's like, oh, I actually came up with a more creative version of that. And it's like, yeah, man, maybe you shouldn't just go for the obvious gay joke or just the obvious, you know what I mean? Like, maybe think a little harder about this. It's like, it's not even about being homophobic. It's just about being more creative, man. Like, you know.
Too bad he didn't learn too much from that, and we ended up with the Tyler, the Creator shit anyway.
It's like he learns, and then he just, well, anyway, I gotta follow Butterfly. What was I doing? Oh, yeah, I was being homophobic. Did I stop doing that? Well, anyway.
But as far as A History of Violence 2, requested by Animal King. No lyrics available on Genius. God damn it!
Can I tell you something? This is pissing me off. When you literally have the track listing there. They have the track listing there, and it says, no, the lyrics not available, but the skit lyrics are available. What is going on? Who is this person who's like, well, I got time for the skits, but I can't be fucking bothered.
They just didn't fucking care, man. Like, and look, no disrespect to Kuniva, his aforementioned history of violence, his story, what brought us here. But look, these skits.
Look, I think there's like 5 or 6 skits on this album, and the album is like about maybe 40 minutes long, and like there's about like 15 tracks whole, so that's about like, it looks like about a third of the fucking album. And honestly,
it's only 10 songs if you don't count the interludes.
Yeah. And honestly, I'll say I didn't have as much of an issue with the skits. I felt like they actually, illustrated like the point of the album with it being the history of violence. Honestly, I'm kind of confused as to how this is part 2. Like, it feels like these skits should have been on part 1. Like, this feels like territory we should have already gone over. Like, hey, let me tell you about what happened with my family. You know what I mean? My family life. And
no offense, Animal King, but I do think it's very odd that we're sitting here talking about History of Violence 2 before we
even... It's like, oh, the sequel hits harder.
Unless you assumed we already listened to History of Violence Part 1, which in that case, you were sadly mistaken.
Or maybe
I have not.
Maybe the first one's a prequel, and he knows, and he's like, oh, you know what, I'm going to give you the background, then you're going to know what's happening, you know what I mean? The second one's about him in the industry, fighting Eminem and Bizarre over, who's going to get to have the one hit song, And oddly enough, it ended up being Bizarre. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Isn't that insane? Like, of all, like, if you know anything about, like, anyone outside of Eminem in that group, the hit song you're going to know is the rock band song. I mean, Rockstar song, Rockstar, which sounds like it was recorded in a fucking tin can. It's like, damn,
I completely forgot it.
Yeah, oh man, you forgot those gems? I'll take any girl, any age, 13 to 17. It's like, oh god. And he has like a girl on the back of the bike, a young girl on the back. Who the fuck signed up for that audition?
Oh my god.
But yeah, fucking. But I'll say this much: I came away with this with way more personality and like knowing who he was as an individual, way more than I thought I would when I came out of this. Like, I legit thought this was gonna be, no disrespect, but like a bit of a in the same vein of a proof album of, oh, it's gonna be a little shock horror, this and that. But and now, I mean, this album came out way later. This is like 2016, so. This is clearly the, older gentleman, elder rapper, statesman era of, Kuniva's career, which is so weird to say about, one of the offshoots of Eminem's, offshoot posse, I will say, like, I came away from this album, honestly, enjoying a lot more of it that wasn't, just, skits than I was expecting to. I thought he got a lot more deeper into shit. I thought the production was honestly really good. Denon Porter, who I think is Con artist, the other half of the group. So this really is like the dynamic duo back at it again, but in a new way. I don't know, like production wise, like to hear a lot of the clearly like live sounding instrumentation really threw me off. I was like, oh, this isn't just the digital man, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Eminem using the fucking accordion production, you know what I mean? And actually he comments on that, interestingly enough, at the tail end on one of the songs where he's like, oh, you know, somebody sent me, you know, was like, hey man, let me send you some D12 type beats. And he's like, nah man, I'm not just trying to just be, you know, what that is. I'm trying to be more than that. And he's like, yeah, and yes, it does seem a little like, yes.
That was so sad to me.
I get it. Like, because it's like, oh yeah, Kuniva's really gonna break out from the shadows. Yeah, next year we're really gonna be hearing about, D12 who? Kuniva is way beyond that. Like, yeah, sure, that's not gonna happen. But, you know, I'm hearing the man's ambition, you know?
Uh-huh.
And honestly, like I said, I thought it was a solid enough project where I felt like it was, you know, worthy enough of a boast by the time we got to that point. You know what I mean? But I'm hearing that you don't feel the same.
No. I just really thought that last shit was so fucking sad and kind of pathetic. Why would you mention that?
I'm gonna be known for so much more than that, you guys.
Yeah, that people are still coming up to you being like, hey, D12 stuff, right? And you have to be like, nah, like, you didn't have to remind us. You could have just done your whole thing. So for me, I thought this album was fine. I wasn't big on it the first half. I thought the first half was just kind of, it's okay. I wasn't rocking with it that hard, but I thought the second half was fucking way better. Like, it's so strange. The ratings I have for the first half are so just middle of the road, especially to start out with the first song, which is this intro. It's half intro.
I hated the intro. Yeah, where it's just like, it's your name, Carlisle Vaughn. I was like, okay, man, just get to it. Like,
yeah, like, I guess that's his mom, if I had to assume.
Yeah.
But, and I get that, you know, it's personal, it's sentimental.
Sure.
I have never heard a worse sounding phone recording on an album, though. Like, you can barely hear what they're saying. It's so muddled.
And honestly, guys, you can keep the, oh, hey, my family member loves me, so let me put that on the record. There was someone recently who just put out a debut album, and I'm sure people are loving it, but it was just like, it just felt so like, it felt like so like trying to go for the down home feel, you know what I mean? Like, you know, because like Kendrick Lamar already did the perfect way you should do that. You know, he puts it on there and it's kind of like a, you know, in between. It actually works with how the album's working, and that's really cool. Everyone else who feels like they're doing it, and sure, you know, people have done it before, but it feels like it especially amped up after that, where everyone feels like they gotta give you the down home touch, where it's just like, dude, just give me the music. Because it honestly, it feels a little bit, I don't want to say manipulative, but it feels a little like, you gotta like me, because look how my mom loves me. You know, it's just like, dude, just give me the music. Like, you know what I mean?
Like, especially by 2016, right?
Right.
You can I'm saying you could either import the file of the voicemail onto your computer directly. You could hook your phone up to the computer and record it that way. It seriously sounds like they just stuck a microphone up to a fucking, like, speaker on a phone, because it sounds so goddamn bad. I can't get off that part of it.
Like, straight to it and didn't... like, yeah, it was the vibration from material on material. You can hear, like, you know?
It's terrible. But it makes half the song, and the rest of the song is him recalling his childhood, which is fine, but it's in some of the most awkward, hard to follow, inconsistent flow. Like, you can kind of tell where he's going, and then it drops off, and then he'll just, like, do these, like, short bars randomly. Like, I wish that the lyrics were available so I could quote it, but it was so, like, stop and go herky-jerky that I was just like, this is a terrible intro. Like, from half of the song being a voicemail to the second half just kind of being, like, what the fuck? Yeah. But I thought the second track was a lot better. It sounded a lot more modern than the intro, too.
Yeah.
Like, the intros had sounded very fucking dated. But I thought it repeated the chorus, like, way too much. So it just, like, took up a lot of the song. All Falls Down, I thought he was very good at... I noted that he was very good at telling a story, but the songs up to this point are kind of dull.
Yeah, okay, it's this very, like, it's serviceable, and, like, yeah, this is the, you know, I don't know if I say like the grocery core version of hip hop in terms of like, yeah, this is the, you know what I mean? The serviceable music, the respectable hip hop music. And I'm not saying it's bad necessarily. You could still like, elevate it. But for what happens later on this album, this certainly, like, yeah, the earlier emotional stuff feels like a bit of a step down, certainly. It doesn't feel like it's engaged as much as what happens later, yeah.
I think the only line I have quoted, and it's because it was so, like, I seriously, I paused it and I was like, oh, is where he goes, snitches catching charges, but beating it like, whoo!
Oh, Michael Jackson.
Oh, I thought that was corny.
Oh. And I will say this, okay, so for the All Falls Down track, I had a moment where I was like, holy shit, I actually recognized some of the sounds and loops from my Acid Pro, like my fucking, my poor ass Acid Pro production pack that I've had since I was like fucking young. So like that metallic sound, that and the hey you little, I've heard, like I could tell you what folders those are in.
Oh
like,
shit.
So it was like a funny moment of like, and it's fun, like as a kid, I've always wanted to have that moment of like, I wonder if someone else, I'll ever come across someone using some of the similar sounds that I've used. And god damn it, I just came across it.
What's very funny to me, in a similar vein, is that when I grew up, I had a really cheap Casio keyboard. And every so often I'll hear the drum sound from that keyboard on a song. And just be like, oh my god, I remember that shit.
How'd they get that?
Did they have the exact same kind of keyboard, or is that just like on all Casios? Like, how did that work?
That's only from my childhood. You're not supposed to have that.
Yeah, I threw that away for a reason. Hands off my garbage. Mama I Tried was alright.
Yeah, it was all right. Like, the bit of the emotional moment where, like, that hit stung me a little harder than I was expecting, where he says, like, I watched a friend die on YouTube. It was like watching your favorite character die on a show, and you can't say goodbye. Like, that hit slightly harder than I thought, like, because, like, we don't think about it before, most people, if you think about someone who, died, like, you're not gonna see it, but, like, the idea of, like, oh, that was, like, it is more likely that if someone is dying in a shootout, it's going to be captured on video, and the idea of, like, seeing a friend, like, lose their life, and you're watching that on video, and it's like, wow, this is, and like having that disconnect with, like, this is like a TV show, like this is like, it's not even really happening, and I can't say goodbye to this person because it looks like this isn't really happening, like this isn't really happening, this is on this box here, it's just so viscerally got you in this interesting way that I wish the rest of the song was heavy enough on, but I feel like this is the Mama song, which oddly enough, I feel like, I don't know, he didn't try hard enough to really make this hit. I feel like I Tried by Bone Thugs and Harmony hit this note a little better of the I tried so hard, but no matter what I do, I always seem to be poor. Like, oh, I feel you, Bone Thugs, like,
Right.
And then Don't Let Me Fall, like, again, this is like the perfect example of what I mean by, like, I get it and I know what you're doing, but like, this just feels like the boilerplate template for what this type of track would be of the life-affirming song, you know what I mean? Like, if ever I'm falling and, just reach out your hand for me if I'm falling, you know what I mean? Like, it just felt a little contrived and a little like, it felt a little like, I hope this will be my inspirational hit song, you know what I mean?
I thought this was the worst song on the album. Mainly because of Bad Channels and his fucking singing on the song.
Oh, come on.
I didn't think he did any favors to it. That was what made it kind of corny to me. I thought Kuniva was doing fine. He did not need all of that. But then on All I Know, I have written down that the guest verse from Seven the General wasn't much to speak of, but I thought it was the best Kuniva song on the album so far. And when I tell you that my ass spoke a little too soon when I said that shit, because we have got back-to-back from here. Dear Uncle, I Want to Be Free, and Daddy Don't Cry are holy shit level of just like,
yeah,
where the fuck was all of this on the first half?
Energy. I will say there was one line in All I Know where he says, where he's talking about like, trying to stay out of bullshit, and he goes like, but not having to deal with it anyways. Like, well, I guess we up next to beef like asparagus. Like, I thought that was kind of a good line.
Oh, I actually thought that was corny.
I thought that was. It was like I just wasn't expecting.
Not to keep it with a vegetable pun, but. I actually almost made note of that myself. I almost forgot.
You almost to specifically call it the other side.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, like you're saying, but in the Dear Uncle, I Want to Be Free and the Daddy Don't Cry, just these titles alone are just already like, oh man.
Uh-oh.
Right? And then just the way, oh man, and Dear Uncle, where it's like, because he flips that, bit of like, yeah, sure, the white boys is after us, but, they've, poisoned our minds so that we hate each other and that we're after each other too, like the self-hating and that sort of thing, and because he has that one line that I think is really clever. It's like, the smartest thing they did was planting the key on me, or something like that, in terms of like how to get out of the bullshit, and like that flip wordplay of like the key out of the gate, and the key like a key of cocaine. So I was like, oh shit. And then like them slave owners, they never died, they just had kids and instilled their values inside. It's like, oh, fuck. It was just hitting so fucking hard. It's like, you treat me like property just because I don't speak properly. Like, fuck.
Oh, Jesus.
And the uncle he's talking to is Uncle Sam, ladies and gentlemen, just to give that one away.
And the city that he's talking about is Chicago.
And now you know. Oh, when he was talking about the wind blowing, I was thinking a little something. I just want to assume, yeah.
This is the best example of that, though. And he doesn't do that at the end. He doesn't say, oh, by the way, Uncle Sam.
Yeah, the look at the camera. By the way, the uncle, it wasn't a family member, actually. Are you ready for this, guys?
Yeah, we'd all then pog in unison, just, oh my god. My jaw's on the floor. No, but
everyone
seriously,
thinks
though.
their fucking immortal technique.
No, but Daddy Don't Cry, though, seriously was just a fucking gut punch.
Man.
The whole goddamn time.
Woof. And when it gets to the end, and like, it's using the same rhyme of just saying like, so da 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 daddy, da 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 daddy, but it's like, it's so emotional with how it's hitting that it still works. Like, I want to make my son better than you and me, daddy, because I believe in him like you believed in me, daddy. It's just like,
Look, man. Yeah, it's the whole thing of the dad telling him not to cry, don't cry, and then at the very end where his dad's dying and he's telling him not to cry. Fuck me.
Get out of here.
And something about him as a grown man repeatedly saying "daddy" almost made me fucking lose it. I was just like, come on,
man.
This is too much.
This is being a real man. Being a real man.
That's the easy standout on the album for sure. And I thought we couldn't lose, man. I thought we were doing fine. But then Trouble on My Mind was like, oh, well,
it was
not everything can last forever, huh?
Yeah. I like that. Again, he's good for like one or two lines where he said like, oh, because the song is just about like, the stuff I'm dealing with as a person, the hardships and the trials and tribulations. So he had one line where he's like, oh, this shit is hard to pass like a kidney stone. I was like, all right,
that was good.
On that. And then we have the after school special. Kids choose something other than violence, and again, like, I see a demographic on which this works, right? They're the 10-year-old kids that are listening to Eminem's offshoot rapper groups, and they're like, I should look. All the kids in Detroit out there that are like, we only listen to rappers from Detroit, and all that, which only leaves us with Eminem and about 50% of other people, like.
Because we sure as hell aren't going to listen to Kid Rock.
Or like whatever, I don't know, kids that are around him that he wants to make this for, he's like, I at least want to put it out there that, hey, kids, don't use I know if you're a kid, it seems like the best thing to do to get your way is to, punch and kick, but let's try to be better. Like, all right, fine, it earns it enough. Not enough for 5 skits, but, whatever. Then what did you think of End of the Beginning?
I thought it was okay. Oh, I forgot. I did quote this because another corny line that I wasn't a fan of Pooper Scooper on these clowns got my shit together.
Yeah, that could have used a rewrite.
Yeah. But I thought it was okay. It was just back to mid. Like, you really got my hopes up with those two. I thought those two were so fucking good that anything from that point was just going to be a step down.
Yeah, it felt like give it up for the underdog. That's what it felt like the final track was. And, like, I wish there was more emotional depth earlier in the album, like, more weaved fully throughout the album. And it's not that it was there. I guess I just wish it was written better. Like, can we just say this much? It's like, being emotional and, bearing heart, like, oh, you gotta feel this. It's real to what my experience is. It's like, that doesn't necessarily win me, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you still gotta bring me there. You still gotta bring me to that place. And I know it feels bad to say, like, oh, I gotta be good enough with manipulating my emotions to get you there. It's like, I'm sorry, it's entertainment. So, yes, like,
Yeah.
But how'd you feel overall?
I walked away with a 3.
I give it a 4. The instrumentation definitely surprised me, so that ended up, pushing me a little in the more positive column, because I was like, yeah, this is actually just solid music overall. You know what I mean? Yeah, I couldn't help but feel like there was more than a couple of blemishes of lackluster spots. Yeah.
Dr. Goatman is back again, following the Bjork discography, back again with Homogenic, the third Bjork album, and when I presented Emily with the album cue, I was like, hey, pick one. And she goes, that's one of my favorite albums, so that one. So that's why we're here.
Yeah. Post was also one of my favorite albums, so I was tempted to be on for both of them. I was like, I can't double dip like that.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I sent RC a video. I meant to send it to you. I'd forgot to. But it's Bjork is being interviewed about something. I forget. I don't know the context. It's on TikTok, so it's like a little clip. And she goes, back then Americans loved their cars, and cars were all vrr, so they made music and guitars that sounded like vrr, and I was like, I never thought about it like that, but
I love my favorite Space Ghost Coast to Coast episode is the one she's on with Tom York, which, like, Tom York's bits are all funny. Like, I will always love the clip where he, like, moves, he goes, do you take those? And he puts his hand toward his mouth and goes, intelligence pills? And I'm like, where did that come from? But I love that Bjork's responses were so random that they had to build an entire plot line about it instead of building it, taking it out of context, because they couldn't put it in context.
She, like, broke the show.
broke the format.
You can see why I love this woman. Just fucking... I feel like before we start, we should address the elephant in the room. Yes, the album cover is very dated. The only excuse I can have for it is, like, in the 90s, white people thought this was respectful.
Gwen Stefani type energy. Indian women are never going to get on MTV, so it's cool that I'm actually, shouting them out. You know what I mean? Like, let me throw that bindi on.
It's a thing where I'm sure, like, now she wouldn't do it, but it's still a little bit weird putting it in my favorite albums list, because it's like, oh god, I hope no one judges me based on this.
Honestly,
what is the context, too? Because according to Genius, what I read about it was that she wanted to make an album that was, like, rich in Icelandic, I don't know about lore, but just, like, to feel like an Icelandic album. So why would you then slap this cover on it?
I'm looking it up. It says it was designed by Alexander McQueen, and they were inspired by the image of the model Devon Aoki. And I also imagine there's a certain amount of, like, the coldness of the album cover representing,
I thought that was really cool.
Like, the electronic sensibilities of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just for me, like, I've, not really knowing... Like, look, I was a stupid kid. I don't know where Iceland is relative to anything. Right. So I was like, and she always just kind of looked vaguely Asian. So I was just like, is is maybe is like a thing? Like, I don't know.
My
like,
favorite
isn't Russia
Asian
technically
surname, Bjork.
Yeah, right. I was like, isn't Russia technically part of Asia or something? Like, isn't there some business with that? Like, I don't know.
You mentioned, like, not knowing, like, I know where Iceland is, but part of me still, when I heard the lyric, how Scandinavian of me, I'm like, is it technically Scandinavian? And I look up the meaning of the lyric, and it's like, no, Scandinavian is an insult in Iceland.
yeah, I thought that was so funny. Where it's like, because apparently, you know, she really gives you a piece of her mind on this album. Where she's like, Icelandic people, we're anarchists. We don't give a fuck. So we don't do that Scandinavian thing of trying to keep schedules.
Trying to organize freedom. Yeah,
it's such a specific level of like, the Greeks and Albanians have like something with each other. You know what I mean? These type of people over here have like a thing. It's like I kind of get that feel where it's just like, oh yeah, those people are always on time and everything. We don't care.
Americans and Canadians.
Right? Yeah. Canadians, they're not even in league with us. They're like a little brother. You know, they're not even a real country. Don't they belong to the king now or something?
I didn't want to deviate too much, but I was just on the Wikipedia page for the album, and when you scroll down to the title and artwork section, there's a picture of Alexander McQueen, and they just happen to pick a picture of him looking really uncomfortable and embarrassed.
Like, he's got the finger in the ear taking the photo.
He's like, someone asked him about the album, and he's like, about that.
You had to be there.
God damn it. That picture's going in the
British.
thumbnail.
He's used to taking things from other cultures.
Oh, yeah.
It was
He's a colonizer in his blood.
It was customary at the time.
Yeah, he had an onion on his belt. Anyway.
But let's get to this album.
Yes.
I thought the thing you were going to mention on the Wikipedia page was the quote from the critical reception that said Homogenic could have been Sting with a sex change operation, where I'm like, what does that mean?
Where? What?
No, wait a minute. Why are you
Where do you even start to attack that?
Okay.
Why are you coming at my girl Bjork like that?
Entertainment Weekly. The point is basically they said that it could have been that and dull, but it wasn't. And I'm like, okay. But also, I feel like trans Sting would have been pretty interesting to me, too.
Yeah.
Bjork could have made a hip-hop album that sounded like Public Enemy, but she didn't. What kind of commentary is that?
And the weird thing is, I mean, you can kind of say that, because a couple of these beats sound like straight-up, like, breakbeat raps, you know what I mean? Where it's like,
my
wait,
gosh.
I can hear somebody rapping
The
all
one
this.
I think of is All Neon, like, where, like, there's a slow, jittery electronic bit that slowly builds on it throughout the song. And I didn't notice that until this time, and I was like, oh my god. It's, like, so interesting to hear it, like, bloom at the end of the track. And
5 Years especially, to me, with the scratchy drums, like, that one especially felt like, I was like, what's going on here? Are we breaking genre right now?
There's so many interesting, like, I love the best way of describing it is Bjork was probably one of the first at the time to get into the sound that a lot of other, like, I know this was a big influence on Kid A as well.
Sure.
Literally, I was looked up. Tom York called "Unravel" the best song ever made.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's literally like a Pet Sounds Sgt. Pepper thing.
So
and like,
I watching this again, I like looked up if there were music videos for it, and there were music videos for like the first like 5 songs, and so I was like,
which are some of the best on the album, I'll say. I don't think there's a bad track on the album, but like those first 4 is like an incredible run.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me give just a little bit of a spice here, just to, you know what I'm saying. Let's not just be a praise party. I didn't necessarily like track 1 that much.
That's one of my favorites.
I think Hunter is the weakest of the first 4 tracks. I still like it though, but yeah, I did get the lowest rating for me of the 4.
I love it because it has a very like Aphex Twin like element to it, and I love Aphex Twin. It's the most IDM of any of the songs on here.
It's got that like crackling that almost like sounds like electricity. The cymbals.
Yeah,
that's the best way I could describe it.
Voltage, high voltage. You mentioning high voltage made me think like this also sounds a bit like some of David Lynch's like own albums as well.
Yeah.
A bit of Big Dream in there.
But for this track in particular, like, it just felt like a way simpler version of what ends up happening on the rest of the album. So everything that I feel like happens here feels like it happens so better just going to track 2. So this so feels like it's a nice intro, but like it feels like a step down in a way that I remember having a feeling of like, Bjork, are we losing a step? But it felt interesting to me in terms of, as an intro, this feels a little weak to me, but as a continuation of the last track from the last album, I actually kind of dig it. Because the last track of the last album is like, I'm going to prove the impossible really exists. Like, I'm going out into the wild. And then this is her coming back. I'm the hunter. You know what I mean?
The literal, I found out, like, I interpreted the lyrics for a while to be like the 5 years track where I thought it was about, like, I left my love behind, I will go find it. But turns out, no, it's about making music and how, like, I will keep coming back to do this. Like,
I like, you can hear the love and spark in how she does shit. Yeah.
Oh, it's so interesting. I see, as someone who, I rank this as like one of my favorite songs on the album. Like, I think one of the interesting things to me is it reminded me a lot of Army of Me, of like, it's the most aggressive. Well, outside of Pluto, but Pluto's its own beast.
Yeah.
Hunter is definitely the most, like, a Army of Me type song, and it kind of fits as, like, an interesting segue into the rest of the album, where
the most normal sounding
like
song you could
throwing
say.
yourself into the cold bath. Like, you are entering the coldness of this reality, and then we will, and then as that gives way to yoga, I believe that's how it's pronounced, yoga.
Yoga, yeah.
It blooms into those strings, and it's like, oh, you get both sides of it. You get the. Ooh. I also like. I think it's a. I don't know what instrument is on it, but there's like an accordion-like sound effect, like on this second version of the. I wish I could organize. I just wanted to whatever. I don't know. I have a terrible memory.
It sounds like an accordion going through a weird filter. That's what, like, I wrote down that there's this accordion sound.
I wanted to mention that, like, yeah, I like how the string sections, like, they're very beautiful, but they very manipulated in a way that fits so well with the electronics. Like,
yes.
I think it's, I forget if it's Immature, or I think it might be Alarm Call. No, it's Immature, where, like, there's these strings in the background that slowly, like, degrade as, like, the beat goes on. Like, it'll start normal, and then as the 4 beats go on, it'll get, like, very distorted, and then it starts back normal again. And I'm like, oh, that's... Yeah. It's interesting to see. I'm trying to think of a metaphor for it, and I'm like, don't say chopped and screwed, that's a different thing.
I think I might be able to explain for RC, or at least for myself, why the first song would come off as underwhelming, because I know for me, when I go into listening to an album to review it, the first song has a lot to live up to, because it's the first thing you listen to. So I realize now that oftentimes when I review albums, the first song usually does have a lower rating than the second or third song, because the album, for me, first you don't taste it, but like sometimes you need to warm it up, kind of, or like you're putting on a perfume and you have to rub on it first. So like you don't smell it right away. So I think the album kind of does that, where it's like, if I would have heard the first song later while I was acclimated to the album, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying it has a low rating because it's a weaker song. This is totally a reflection on how I review things, I'm realizing. And how
but that's
sometimes...
your experience, you know? You can't not be honest.
It's not
about
you,
that,
it's
right?
me,
Like,
Bjork.
Yeah, right.
Right, exactly. Like, I still liked the song a lot, because I still had plenty to...
Forgive us, Bjork.
Yeah, I think that is ultimately what it comes down to.
And I mean, for me, like, when I got into Bjork, my friend was big into Bjork, and I was like, I don't know anything about her. I want to get into her. This was the last one I listened to because it's her favorite, and she's like, it's most people's favorite. And I got to warm up with up to that point, the entirety of her discography to that point. So, like, I already knew... I had already been through
like
the
Timbaland
experiment on Volta and stuff like that.
Wait, did you hear the stuff that she did, like, before she was, like, Bjork? Like,
I
like Sugar
didn't at that
Cubes?
time, but I've now heard the Sugar Cubes. The funny thing is, my dad owns a Sugar Cubes CD, but does not listen to Bjork, and I'm like, that is such a quintessential. My dad went to college in the '80s thing,
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
and then
now.
got into grunge. So
But going to this, I just wanted to comment on the music videos really quick because,
I didn't see any of them.
I'm just gonna say Bachelorette is a special one to me. Before you explain it, I want to say I was in a film studies class in high school, which I know, shocking, me in a film studies class, the person who makes film video essays.
clutch the pearls.
But at the end of our semester, first of all, not only was I my favorite teacher's already, my teacher loved me because we had already had classes before, I was the only person there that actually enjoyed, analyzing films. So he already loved me.
Right. You're digging in, yeah.
But,
That was like me in any music class in college.
Yeah.
Just the only one there giving a shit.
What do you mean we're not just listening to music this whole time? But we had to analyze music videos, and on the list was Bachelorette. And I looked at it, I go, I love that
cool.
song in that music video. And he looks at me and goes, don't pick that one. That's the hardest to analyze on the entire list. Pick something easier.
Wow.
Which maybe he's right, because I'm still not sure if I could analyze the exact point of the symbolism in the music video. But it is... Bachelorette has an argument for being not only my favorite song on the album, but maybe my favorite song Bjork's ever made, and that music video by it's Gonji did a great job.
Wait, I think I could make an argument. I think I could make less of an argument for the Army of Me music videos. What the hell that's supposed to be about? I was like, wait, she's saving her brother by blowing him up? What's happening?
Very visual.
Yeah. Well, I like how she describes, she says, when I think of making a music video, it's like a dream. So, the moment to moment is all that matters. So
There is something
what
very
makes sense-
Lynchian about her ideas.
Yeah. And so it's like a weird thing where it's like, this doesn't make sense, but I'm still following you. That happens to a lot of her shit, But honestly, I feel like these latest music videos were her most streamlined as far as what the ideas were, where it's just interesting to just watch all the way through. Hunter video is just her, with the skin cap on, so it's just looks like it's just her body there, and then slowly you see the blue animation get on her. And can I tell you something? So there's something about, I don't know what animation company she was fucking with at this time, or maybe she just fucking paid them better than the reboot people were being paid or something like that. But the animation always looks so fucking cool and crisp in her music videos. You know what I mean? It always looks very even out of the time of the 90s.
Even when it's aged poorly CGI, it's stylized in a way that this fits in an
That's exactly what I'm
way.
saying. Even
Also,
the
I just
sort
looked
of
it up. It was done using it was rendered with Pixar's rendering machine.
Oh shit!
Interesting. So
Damn.
hey, I know you just got done with the Toy Story. Yo, can we use that?
And now I'm just
Let me borrow
imagining
that.
the music video, but she's covered in the faces of all the creepy humans from Toy Story.
Oh shit! She looks like Sid.
Oh god.
She looks like Sid's
fucking-
weird dog.
Those weird mixed up toys.
Now, if she wants to freak people the fuck out, that's what she should have done. Not just a blue bear. That's nothing. That's not creepy. Should have done Smokey if she really wanted to freak people out. You know what used to freak me the fuck out as a kid? Smokey the fire prevention bear. Only you can prevent. Dude, that would freak me the fuck out if that was CGI digitally rendered. Oh my god, I couldn't watch that video to this day if that was what happened.
I'm looking through the page, the Wikipedia article for Hunter, and for some reason they said that they compared it to Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel, and I'm like, I guess the close-up, but it's...
Because it's one person
Close-up with
sitting
effects,
there.
I guess, but it's very different tones.
It's a lot like the ending of the black or white music video by Michael Jackson because it's a close-up
Yeah, it's
and no other reason.
Yeah, I get what they're saying in terms of it's a close-up while an animation is happening around them. But the difference with that is, they had, it was him sitting there for 18 hours maybe while they were animating every little bit. With that, she's just jiggled around in
Peter
jams for a
Gabriel
second.
also
We'll
looked a
get
lot
that in post.
happier in that music video than Bjork.
He loved getting hit with those bumper cars.
Bjork is very angry, which again is a good theme on this album. Whenever she gets
she's either
angry
angry
it's,
or angry or
I
just
love
sort
angry
of
Bjork.
angry, or like the sort of like, you know, what's the name of that character? Raggedy Andy, like mischievous, you know what I mean? Like,
there's a great, like, I love the, like, when she'll just say a line and it'll be so angry and it just rhymes with nothing, and you're like, you just had to be there. Like, it's like, it has this feeling of like, it was an outburst where if I cut it to rhyme, it wouldn't have been as powerful. And she's one of the artists that could definitely get away with that.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I don't think any of Hunter rhymes.
Yeah, I was trying to think, and I think it's just like, it's just
and
a more
fucking
basic
kryptonite,
lyrically.
RC.
well, no, I just think it's just more basic lyrically, and so it's just like there's just not a lot being said on the track. So it's just kind of
I
like
like the way it takes the metaphor and like almost tears it apart. Like it's like there's a metaphor there, but as it goes on, it starts like being like put through like a meat shredder or something like that. Like it just comes out very differently, and it's very evocative.
Yeah, and then so we go into the next couple of tracks. Like I said, absolute fucking bangers. Like I don't think there's any violin or anything like that on Hunter, right? Like it's relatively bare bones.
No,
and
I
then
think
so
it's
when
just
we
the
get
accordion that might be the only like non-electronic instrument on it.
Yeah, so when we get to yoga, and then the musical colors blast open, I'm like,
and
okay,
then
here we
you're
go.
like,
We're right
the
back on
electronics go, and you hear that. Dun, 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 dun.
Right. Like, oh, don't think we.
And it's such
Don't
a
get it
good
twisted.
like. This feels like a style that'd be so easy to mess up, and she is just she is just breezing through it like it's because that's the thing. It's not only is like so beautiful, it feels like it's just natural to her.
Let me get to a point that I think that you kind of pointed to for a second, because it's like, I think there's a way to do this that could make this so gimmicky, right? Of like using digital music with acoustic music, isn't that so weird? You know what I mean? But like,
you could end up with a what's that Billy Idol cyberpunk situation,
right? Or I think there was in the early '90s there was like a rap album where they like mixed classical music. It's like, oh, we're gonna do a little classical music with rap. Like, oh, you don't expect that, but because like, you know, the people mixing it together don't actually like, you know, aren't that invested in either one of the or the other genre that much. You know, it's either just doing a classical music song and then we just kind of have a rapper come in like 2 minutes in. You know, like it doesn't really feel like they're trying to really mix and meld these genres to bring it in a new light.
Yeah, this definitely feels like an album of someone who's been working like with music since she was like 7. So it's like, it feels like,
and she doesn't hear any difference between any genre in that genre. It's like there is no wall between all of this shit. It's just like, no, you can take from here and take from there and take from here and take from there. You know what I'm saying? And make your own collage of what your sound is. You know?
Yeah. Again, why I love her so much is like, I mean, you both reviewed Post. Like Post is very much like the example of like her trying everything, which is again why it's my second favorite album by her. And like she does so well at everything on there that it's hard to really critique anything about.
See, that's the thing. She goes like she throws it. You can say that she throws everything at the wall, but she does it so well and so artistically that it doesn't feel like the Jackson Pollock throwing everything at the wall, right?
It fits together. It's throwing everything at the wall in the Eraserhead sense, where like it all is discordant, but it all feels purposely discordant together. Like it's hard for you to imagine them not fitting together like that.
Yeah. By the time we got to Unravel, I was like, my notes I was like, yes, give it to me. Oh, I was thinking what was that Russ Myers trailer, Beneath the Valley of the Eldrixes? Yeah, go more weird, abstract, yet musically grounded forays into your musical mind palace. Let's do it. Like with the organs and the vocals spinning all around the track. This shit was so fucking glorious. And then, have you guys seen the music video?
No, I haven't seen
this is one of the few ones I haven't seen the music video for.
So,
because I've seen Hunter, I've seen Yoga, I've seen. I mean, we're gonna have to also talk about All Is Full of Love as well, because that's probably one of the best music videos I think has ever been made.
Wait, I didn't see that. I didn't know there was one for that one. Oh my god!
It's by the guy who made Rubber Johnny.
God
oh
damn
shit!
It.
Okay.
And he did Window Licker and all those, so it's like very. It's not creepy like those though, but it is using a similar. Have you ever seen the image where it's like Bjork as a robot? That's that video.
Here, all is made of love. Okay, because apparently, that they had said that the video for one of the songs was like banned or something like that in America, you know, at the time or something like that, you know.
I believe this one is very sexually charged, but it is, which again, I don't know how that's shocking with Bjork.
Yeah, like she doesn't give a fuck. Like
Well,
she
also,
clearly
like,
does not give a fuck.
Literally, if we ignore Selma Songs as a soundtrack album, which I think it should be considered a regular album because it has a lot of great songs on it, but if we ignore that one, the next album is literally just all about sex. Like it is all about sensuality. Like,
damn.
and literally, yeah, one of the songs on there was banned because she's fully nude in the music video, and it's like,
Oh, okay.
I was about to say, like, oh, she's just masturbating in this one. Oh, god damn it, Bjork. Okay.
yeah, that goes back to Lars von Trier from earlier.
It's like, in another world, you know. Go on.
I'm trying to find the music video for.
Oh, the music video for Unravel. Yeah.
I'm actually watching it in the background now. The Unravel video.
Because I love it so much. I almost don't want to. Do you want to just watch it happen or?
I'm
Well, we
watching.
can't do a whole live reaction to it. But.
Yeah, fuck it. I'll just say it. Because you start watching the video and it looks like it's just a fucking, Microsoft screensaver where it's just like showing you these strands going out. And you're like, what the fuck? Bjork, what are you doing? Is this just like a video where it's just this the whole time? Bjork, oh, you silly. And then it slowly pulls back and then you see Bjork like hunched over as she has like a spider, sack from where all that silk is coming from. And she's like, it has little silks and stuff all over her, and she's like playing around with it a little bit as she's singing the song, and it's like a minute and a half into the video, so you have to have been paying attention this whole time to be like, where is this going, Bjork? And then eventually you see her, and then slowly it goes back into the silk, and then it slowly moves over to the CGI huge thing that looks like this silk is slowly building a person or something like that. It's the fucking coolest thing. It's like, god damn it, Bjork, you done got me again.
It's Bjork and a homunculus.
Real recent stuff has a lot of this like blending humanity with like digital art thing, and it reminds me a lot of those like I don't know how to pronounce it because it has 3 S's, but Lost with 3 S's. That music video also has like a lot of. The best way to describe modern Bjork music videos is the digital art looks a lot like she is transforming into Jean Jacket or the monster from Nope. And I love it so much.
I've seen that. I noticed that. Like it was like because I noticed a lot of her art, like on the album covers or whatever. I was just casually noticing. I was like, is there like a jellyfish thing going on? What's going on?
Oh yeah, she's been really interested in like digital art and stuff like that for like the past decade, and I'm all for it. I love it because she hooks up with like all of the modern art people, and it works so well with her style.
Yes, because as much as like we're looking back and like, oh wow, isn't this quaint and how she was working on the cutting edge back then? It's like, oh, she didn't stop doing that. She just it's like she's like, where y'all been? I've been fucking getting busy.
This is completely unrelated, and you probably have to cut this out. But when I search Bjork on YouTube, why is one of the results one man, one jar? I love the fact that like she got interviewed on it. She's like, the minute I made the track, like I needed someone to write an epic poem for this because I knew it needed it, and I was like, you're goddamn right. It was.
Yeah, Jesus.
Okay, so for what's happened?
That belt she has like right before the Corvette. I forget how it's said, but right before she goes to "I'm a big upset," like she lets out a huge belt there, and it's like, first of all, Bjork has like arguably maybe my favorite voice in all of music. It's just so expressive. I like voices that are like different.
There's
but
an element
super
of frailty
expressive.
to it. Yeah, there's an element of frailty to it, but there's still a strength to it that is like staggering despite that. You know what I mean? Where it's like at one point she'll be singing in a way that sounds like, oh, is her voice cracked? Does she need some water or something like that? But then she'll belt so strong that it'll be like, whoa, she's doing it despite the cricks and crags in her voice. And it's so incredible. Yeah.
It's again, like a lot of my favorite voices are like people like that, like Chris Cornell and Tom York, where they have like different sounding voices, but when they belt something out, it just blows everyone away. And Bachelorette has so many moments of that in there. It is genuinely hard for me to not argue like this could be her best song.
I wouldn't be arguing with you over here.
It's a sequel to Isabel, apparently.
I wrote that down
I get
too.
That feel. I get
Which
that.
Isabel is also a great one as well. So it's like
And the sequel itself
self-love,
to Human
one could say.
Behavior. So
can we turn this into a
indeed.
Fast and Furious thing? Just make a bunch of sequels to Isabel. They're all gonna be great.
But for the music video for this one, now, isn't this is the one where it's like it looks like she's doing a stage play, and
she
it looks like she's
the book. It starts writing itself. She sells the book. They make a stage play of the book.
Yeah, but it's
which
called
is about
My
her
Story.
buying the book, selling the book,
Yeah.
turning it into a stage play. Which,
shit.
as a concept, it's not too hard to understand. The thing is difficult is the subtext, where you're like, I wonder what, like, is this about art and commerce? Is this about, like, because it clearly
Is
has
this
a
about
bit
someone
of a point
specifically?
to it.
Yeah, because there's one point where you see someone who's dressed a certain way, and you see them like replicated twice, where that person's watching in the audience, like, hey, like at first they're happy about it, but then they seem kind of sad, but then they seem kind of like, you know, not really respond. Like it
Well,
seems like they
also
got a
the
bunch of
music
different
video
takes.
implies that this setup of plays within plays has basically been happening for like months at this point.
Yeah, because it cuts to one point where you see like it's him watching it, and you're like, wait, what just happened?
I love the fact they also hire different actors and dress them up like the original actors, so that
that's
each
what
time
gives-
it's like
Yeah,
a
'cause that's what
slight
gave me that-
difference.
Yes, because I had to go back and be like, wait, did I see that wrong? Did I get? Because that one guy's balding and that other guy's not balding.
Yeah, like as time goes on, it like exaggerates features because it's going through so many levels of like adaptation.
Yeah. And it's a weird thing where like people, so she sells her book to this publisher, and lots of people start like reading the book, and then it flashes to 1920s for some reason where people are reading the book, but then like something happens where she gets angry at the person, but then the words on the page start erasing and going back up, and then people aren't reading the book anymore, and it's like, wait, but did they get their memory sucked from remembering the book? What's happening?
That's why I think it might be an art and commerce thing, because it might be the idea of like when a piece of art just becomes like a product to sell over and over again, it like people just are forgetting about it because they don't care anymore because it doesn't feel the same.
The copy of the copy, and it doesn't really hit what the same emotional.
There's also
beat
probably
that it was doing.
a non-intended metaphor there, where you could be like a book that writes itself that is slowly tied with money. Oh, that sounds relatable nowadays, huh?
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, I give credit to Bjork for that. Always using weird visuals. I don't think she has ever used AI, so that's good.
Yeah, props for that. So then we get All Neon Like, which is a little looser, but I still dig it. Like with what it's doing, like this is those last 4 songs were like as conventional as a song as you could be for Bjork. Now it's time for me to start relaxing and just like doing some weird. Let's really get weird for a second. Let's break the form of what a fucking song is for a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think All Neon Like was the first one I wrote down where I was just like, I'm not even gonna pretend to know what this one's about.
Just let it happen.
From what I understand, I looked up the Genius page for it. It is based on a poem that she wrote, and it is apparently about sex.
Oh,
okay.
Of course.
I tried to re-listen to the song on YouTube, and I'm like, all right, these recommended videos are very fitting. It's like, oh hey, Coil, Jeff Buckley, Cardiacs,
No, dude,
yeah.
It's
One man, one jar again. For some reason.
It's about the complexities of Iceland's economic situation. That's what she's actually saying
I love
about.
that, like, you could just be listening to the song, you're like, it's so beautiful, and you go to Genius, it goes, did that just say semen?
Yeah, it was like All Neon, like, oh, what a beautiful song. What could this possibly be about? So I think she's into facials. Like, wait, excuse me.
I mean, it also gives like such interesting, like the idea of putting a sexual thing on with a razor blade, all cut a slit open, and the luminous beam heals you, and you're like, I think I get what you're going for.
Luminous V. That's
But
vagina,
also,
right?
this sounds like number one, my future surgery. Number 2, and 2, like it really does sound like it's like almost like a vampire situation. Like they're like,
right.
But it's such an interesting. I love her metaphors so much because they're just so weird and unique, but
And
so
yeah.
vivid.
You can
like
chew
you
on them.
immediately like you're like, I don't even know what this means at first, but you picture the imagery, and it's so and it doesn't.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing where it's like you might not know exactly what she means, but you know, like you can
feel it.
Yeah, you don't know, but feel.
Feels real to me, man.
Right.
I want to go back to
I
something.
still don't know what your turtle heart means either.
Yeah, right. I don't know what the fuck you just said, Bjork, but you special, Bjork, because you reached out and you touched my heart.
RC, I think it goes back to like what we were talking about, where like in this case, it's almost like you don't want to know what it's about because you would rather have the picture in your head than have it ruined of like, oh no, it's not nearly as interesting as you thought it was.
Like remember what? Didn't we find out that one song was about like, oh yeah, Army of Me? I thought it was supposed to be about like being awesome, being a badass. It's about telling.
Yeah, it's like my brother's lazy. It's like don't tell me that.
Yeah, it's about telling all those rockers they need to like straighten up and tie your hair back and
get off your cell phones before you walk off that cliff. Like, oh no.
God. Put some conditioner in that hair. Like, are you kidding me?
God,
we were talking about Moby's extremely preachy music video earlier.
I like how every time that video gets passed around, it's won a different award.
That's how I figured it out.
They make up an award it never won, and they're like, it won this. And everyone gets mad at like, how did this win an award? And it's like, it didn't. Just Google it. I love the community note that's like, it's just a Moby music video with the music replaced.
Yeah, RC, I forgot to tell you that. The video I saw on Twitter was the music video with, instead of the Moby song, it's like this instrumental classical song that's supposed to make you feel extra sad. And someone was like, this one, first prize at whatever film festival.
It's the Venice Film Festival short film thing. And I was like, no, it didn't.
And Robert Downey Jr.
And it's like the only thing that Twitter is good about is the community notes that like right under it, it's just like, no, this is a Moby music video. Like, please quit sharing this shit around.
What was that that fake DeSantis clip going around where people just got so mad that it wasn't real that they reported the community notes so it'd go away so people would still keep thinking he said hungry?
I just want to believe the lie, goddammit. Why won't you let me believe the lie?
Did he not say hungry?
That's from a bad lip reading video.
Oh, goddammit, no.
Yeah.
But now that note is taking away, who knows?
Yeah.
And
he's so chronically online at this point that he's gonna say hungry.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's the most damaging thing is not that he actually said it. It's the fact that he didn't, but we all could imagine it.
And if we bully him enough about it, he's eventually gonna have to say in a video, "I did not say hungry," and then we can prove him saying hungry.
We can jab push him if we try hard enough.
Dude, he's gonna be like the polar opposite of Trump, where it's just like every dumb thing he said kept making him popular. Every dumb thing he says is like ruining his popularity.
He just isn't. As much as I hate to give Trump credit, he's not as easily charismatic. Like Trump is unfortunately kind of funny sometimes. Like it is. Yeah, I will never not laugh at that tweet that's like that he made where it's like, Diet Coke has been mad at my tweets I've been making about them. Whatever, I'll still drink that garbage. You're like, God damn it! If this guy just stuck to game shows and hosting award shows, where oh god, that clip American I love. Where, there's like a clip of him hosting some award show, I believe, on like some movie awards or something like that. And the narration voice, he goes, "And the greatest band to ever live, Weezer." And I'm like, this man's a president now, like permanently. Like no matter what we do, it will never have not happened.
Exactly. Like we can't memory hole that. We can't go, nope, this is still a great honorable nation and you should respect whoever gets into the office. Nope, because Trump was there.
The first president to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame, and man am I upset it's not Jesse Ventura.
Oh, yeah.
It's so funny, like
I wish we had a president whose only conspiracy belief was that the weather was controlled, like something that ridiculous.
Right. Isn't that so funny with Obama? We tried to, pretend that America was still a respectable place. Like, oh, look at this man in the office of the presidency. I mean, in this modern age, we need someone like him. And we couldn't possibly let some loser asshole who clearly shouldn't be in,
As someone who, like, obviously doesn't, like, a lefty doesn't respect most of the institutions of our government, I will say it has been funny watching us ping pong between arguably the two funniest presidents to ever live with Biden and Trump.
Yeah, it's like this thing where it's just like, okay, you guys, the institution, are trying to make us still believe that this is a respectable institution, but you keep giving us these people, and it's like, do you not see what you're giving us right now?
And even then, on TikTok the other day, someone posted a clip where it said, my favorite bushes, and they're like, oh yeah, you're right, like the fucking fool me once, I won't be fooled again, and terrorists are thinking of ways to hurt our nation, and so are we.
Back to Bjork, we haven't...
This is what happens when you get 3 people with ADHD in the same...
Precisely, oh god, what have we done?
We've been going off so much that I am sweating right now.
Okay, so let me hit you with
The
a little
most
bit more
intense
cover.
going off you ever did here.
It's like those images of the guy like focusing so hard, veins are sticking out his head, but just being neurodivergent.
Yeah.
We're gonna get the Russ Meyer guy to advertise I dare you to listen to another podcast.
Yeah, go.
I thought you were gonna do the whole you bought the whole podcast, but you only need the edge.
You only need the edge.
I don't even know what that would mean. What's the edge of a podcast? Sometimes I just say things. I don't know. People pay me to write things.
Oh man,
It works. It's fine. And we've already mentioned all the other songs that people might as well just assume we just loved all of them. So I mean,
well, I'll crack a little bit of tension. I do think
Ooh.
5 years and Immature were my least liked of the songs.
really.
I
But
mean,
again,
I
we're-
might agree with that, but I also think they're still great. Like, that's the thing. I don't think
See,
there's
that's
really
the thing.
a
Yeah, they're
weak
still
track.
doing something unique, right? They're still doing something cool and unique on their own, but I just feel like relative to how much is going on in the other tracks, these just feel like the sort of, all right, I can't just do epic shit the whole time. You know what I mean? Like,
See, that's why I love Angry Bjork. On 5 years, that's like the angriest I've ever heard her.
Oh, 5 years has like one of the best lines on the album where it was the fucking it's not 5 years. Is it Immature that has the line of I'm not a Buddhist, but I feel so
Okay.
fucking enlightened?
I think Alarm Call has the I'm not a fucking Buddhist.
Yeah. That's like one of my
Immature.
favorite lines.
Yeah.
So
I'm
this,
no
this
fucking
is,
Buddhist, but this is enlightenment. That's such a good line.
God damn.
that
This is what
definitely
I
is-
mean about like
hits
she
hard.
doesn't even have to rhyme if it makes a better statement.
Hey,
And I love
right.
that.
Mm-hmm. So the Immature track is like, it didn't quite pop for me, but it still kind of moves and shakes, and like it's slightly more basic musically, but what she's saying is so strong it almost makes up for it to me,
I
because it's
also
like,
like how 5 years and Immature play off each other in a way, because 5 years is like mourning this relationship that died, and Immature is like, why do I even care? Why do I need this person?
Yes, because I think what she's saying was like, how could I be so immature to think that he could replace the missing elements in me? What? How lazy of me! Like, she's criticizing us. Like, what? Doi? I could have had a me. What was I doing?
Like, it's such a. I love how most of the song on this thing use love as both like a metaphor for other parts of the South, but also it relates to like the idea of searching for it, trying to find it, and embracing it when you have it, obviously with all full love. And there's a sort of an emotional arc to that in a way. Immature and 5 years together have such an important part of that story. They might be the weakest songs on the album, but it's like it's one of those things where it's like saying like, this song's the weakest song on To Pimp a Butterfly. It's like,
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, even this, like, Bjork on autopilot is still going to be better than most people doing their best.
I don't even think she's on autopilot. It's just but
I'm
the
just
rest
saying,
of the
that's what I'm saying.
songs are just top of the game. I mean, it's weird for Bjork to not be on top of her game. Like, because especially
like
in
that
this
track was her
era,
meditating, honestly. Yeah.
the stretch of post Homogenic and Vespertine is like such a good 3. And then I also like the 2 albums she did with Arca.
Oh, so we got more to look for.
Volnikira
Oh my God.
and Utopia, which, God, that is perfect. There's a perfect team up there, Arca and Bjork.
And that's just the thing, too. There's only 10 tracks on this album, so it's like, it really kind of gets in and gets out, but feels like it, you're really, like, got a lot to chew on as it goes on. Alarm track, especially as it comes in, just a fucking solid-ass cut. The way she uses the hip-hop drop beat in that way that it just really just feels like, this is hip-hop, but I just turned it into something else. Like, because I'm over it now, you know what I mean? Because, like, all of those weird, like, those synths and stuff like that you would typically hear on a rap song that are just like, oh, these are just production stuff. Now it feels like it's in a different light, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just so interesting.
Those break beats in that, I think it's a bell, the whole, the ring that brings to the top of the song, the bong,
Yeah.
bong. It's, like, very ominous, but, like, it fits as, like, as the fact that this is like one of her more like soothing tracks mixed with all that together, it almost works as a great contrast where it brings out both of them. I had nothing more to say. I was using filler words.
Yeah, because like I mean, we only got the last two tracks. Pluto is
silence,
a fucking smasher. Pluto, let's just say it. Pluto's the fucking smasher. This is the fucking.
It is. It reminds me of the best example I could think of is. Have either of you listened to Black Midi?
Yes.
It reminds me of Cavalcade when like Hogwash and Balderdash comes in at the second to last track where it's like, all right, before we go, here's the wild shit I got. Here you go.
Man.
Yeah.
This feels like, remember that Tyler the Creator track off of that Cherry Bomb? Remember we had listened to it and it's like, I get what he's going for, but it's just too not mixed well, so like I can't enjoy it. This is
it's
this
too
done.
loudness, Ward.
Hey, I'm Huey Lewis in the news. I'm going, you're just too darn loud, you know?
Look, we talked about Back to the Future wait, actually, no. We did talk about it in a few minutes at the end of the episode.
We'll be talking about it in a few minutes.
Would you say right now we're going Back to the Future?
Wait, are we going forward to the past?
I'm going to go into my garage and start running the car. Or after that joke, I need to be punished permanently for that one.
But no, like I want to be where the goddamn rave is, where this song is fucking playing.
It sounds like it'd be like a rave from like a movie where like the vampire rave from like Blade or something, like rave where you're also killing people there because it's so angry.
Or whatever happened in Queen of the Damned, you know, with John Davies or whatever the fuck.
Or whatever that club that played Dragula in The Matrix is. Like this.
Yes!
That weird
Matrix
moment where you're
Club.
like, wait, are they playing Dragula in The Matrix? Like, this weird novelty song that somehow made it into the serious movie of 1999.
My favorite fact of all is like when people find out what the actual Dragula looked like that the song's about.
Oh yeah, the fucking monsters car?
Yeah, it's just like a tiny little bit.
You just picture Grandpa Monster and it's slamming in the back of his Dracula with Hoyman.
I will never not think of that. Every single time it comes on at like a hockey game, I just think of it. Every single time I hear it at like a sporting event or something, I'm just like, this is about a tiny little jalopy.
Yeah, burn through the ditches and drag the witches or something. Oh man,
yeah,
but Pluto.
Yeah, and let's not move on from let's not move on from Pluto. You got more.
Yeah, like that was straight up some Daft Punk. Like, you know, there's a certain point where it just feels like it's just repeating a bit, but it's so like gets right in the pocket where I'm like, this could repeat forever, and I wouldn't care. You know what I mean?
There's like almost an industrial quality to it, of like when you listen to like one of those 9 Inch Nails tracks where the track starts looping over and over again, but it loses more of it as it goes on and becomes more crunchy. And you're like, oh.
And then we get to All Is Full of Love. And
which also has an argument of maybe being the best Bjork song. Oh my god.
What a buffet this album is.
It runs you over as a song. Like it just...
Right? Anyone get the number of that truck? I've seen this. I've never, like, I never knew what this music video was, but I've seen this music video before for All Is Full of Love.
Yeah, this is, in my opinion, like my favorite Chris Cunningham work, and I like the stuff. Like, I like that Window Liquor. I like that Window Liquor video for a lot of reasons. One of them being that it is so fucking goofy. But like, this is probably my favorite thing. Chris Cunningham ever directed. And, yeah, it's very beautiful and it fits very well with the song. And yes, it is. Jesus. You can look at it and be like, yeah, this. I can see why this was maybe banned in 1997. I don't agree with it, but I can see how two androgynous robots fucking could be a bit too much for MTV in 1997.
Cock, robot cock.
God damn it.
Granted, it probably did not help. I just looked it up. This music video came out 2 years after Homogenic, which probably helps.
Wow.
Probably helps to show like how long like that Bjork, like a good Bjork album has, like in terms of like time that it can cover, like, because I believe they were still releasing music videos for the one that came out last year. Was like they were releasing in like 2020 after like 3 years.
Wow.
And it's like I was still there. I sat my white ass down and listened.
Motherfuckers respect the artistry. They're gonna come. They're gonna come through every single time. If you build it, they will come. Okay.
And it's the thing of like, again, working with a modern artist like Chris Cunningham, who like we think of his music videos, but he also has a bunch of like features at Modern Art and stuff like that. Like all that stuff that comes together where you're like, you can see like how much she is dedicated to like making the images for her work coalesce with interesting styles. I mean, this is the person who married, I don't know if she married or she just dated him, the guy who did the Cremaster cycle, the one that like 7-part series about like famous art. I don't know how to describe it other than it is a art film that plays exclusively in museums, that is out of order. It is about the process of one muscle in the testicles.
So, just to give my rating real quick, because I'm gonna be the asshole here. You know, I give it a 4.5. 4.5. Oh, yes.
You suck.
Yeah. All right. I'll be that guy. I'll be the heel.
Someone's got to be.
I'll take the cabbage and old tomatoes to the face this week because
We still have them left over from the last episode, so we gotta use them.
They're slimier.
They're on the last leg. This is the last episode I could use them.
But yeah, there's just like 1 or 2 tracks where it just felt slightly basic. But even then, that just feels like in conjunction with it's like, well, I can't just be firing all cylinders all the time. I gotta give you simple lower beings some rest. You know what I mean?
This is my favorite album by her, but yeah, Post is also up there. There's a bunch of stuff by her that I could understand someone arguing is better than this one, even if I disagree and they're wrong. But no, like I could definitely see like vibing with Post more than this, or
these are my opinions, therefore they happen to be the right ones. So
how do you think I run a film channel? God damn it! It's one of those things where I cannot blame someone for favoring other albums over this one or other, because there's just so much she can do well that
it's just so consistent quality that it's just like it's really just picking your favorite kid. Yeah.
I said like 2 golden eras, which first of all, having a golden era in like your 4th year of relevance, like 4th decade of relevancy, like
Jesus
2015 and 2017 albums that are like 2 of the best of your career, like holy shit. But even then, she doesn't have a bad album in her. Like even Volta with its weird.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that was the
I enjoyed that one.
That's the thing. I enjoy it. I enjoy Biophilia, even though Biophilia is my least favorite one. But Volta's. I mentioned Volta being the weird one because, it's
That's
the
the
one
weird
with
one in
songs
the Bjork
produced by
album.
Timbaland, and you're like, why was
Isn't
this
that
whole
weird?
link up?
Where it's like, it's weird that she's not being as weird as she could be.
Yeah.
Timbaland, huh? She's doing
She's
the
one of those
ultimate thing
artists
that
where
you
you're
can do.
like, this album was just too normal for me. Like,
She's like, I've done everything of being unconventional. I know. I'll be conventional. It's the one thing they won't be seeing.
and Biophilia, of course, being the famous one where she had an app accompaniment, which makes it funny because now the way she intended you experience it just doesn't work anymore because it was designed for all the iPads.
God.
Which, granted, that's not exactly her fault. That's more Apple for making everything stop working after a while.
That's capitalism's fault.
Oh, actually, Bjork's doing it as a commentary about the planned obsolescence of the technology. Look, she's giving us jewels at every turn. You know what I mean?
And I think I speak for everyone when I say, Bjork, please start touring again. It's been like 20 years. Come on.
Bless these peasants.
15. Sorry, it was 2007, I believe. But I'm like, yeah, all she does now is like special performances over in Europe, and you're like, God damn it, I'm not making a flight.
No.
She doesn't need to leave Iceland. Like, she could be for the rest of her life, bitch. No, you gotta come to Iceland to fucking see me.
If that's her comfort, I'm not gonna judge her, but also I'm like still sad because imagine some of these songs live. Oh my god.
Man.
Imagine like going to see her with like a full orchestra behind her, like yoga with that. And it's like disappointing because you're like, no, you did it 30 years ago.
That.
Bring it back, please.
Yeah, it is like I've seen the Gesamtkunstwerk that humanity is capable of.
It's one of those things where, like, you hear from artists like, I just don't want to tour anymore. You're like, you know, good for you, but also, come on, I wanted to see you.
Look, you can sit in a chair the whole time, all right? We can move we can just hollow out your living room and just move that on the tour, okay? You don't even have to move.
Be like the clip I saw of Jason Derulo doing a Zoom concert for a school.
Oh my god!
It's like a clip of him in his living room. He was supposed to perform for his school as like a reward, and because COVID, he had to do it over Zoom. It's just this silent clip of him going, "And the trumpets they go," and he's just quiet in his room. Like, everybody clap, and there's just no clapping because obviously he's alone in his room.
There you go. And the charm.
I have no happiness to report that as a middle schooler during LMFAO's reign, I hate to admit, everyone was super excited every time they released a music video.
Oh, hell yeah. Champagne showers?
Oh, yeah, here come the boys once again.
The boys are back in town.
Song, Sorry for Party Rocking.
Gotta run home after school and watch it.
Dude, they're not actually sorry, though.
There's so much of that where, like, I remember kids being like, yo, hey, teacher, you heard about Gangnam Style? There's a new parody that's Romney style. And it was like, oh, so funny. That's the thing. I'm like a little too past, like, internet, like classic internet, where I'm stuck in the range of like I grew up during lolcats. Like that's my teenage years.
The copy of the internet that was happening before, you know.
I grew up during peak epic rap battles era.
I still got a soft place in my heart for the epic rap battle guys.
I hate to admit it, I still love the film director. Of course I love the film director, though I will say the Michael Bay bits are the weakest. I'm like, why would Stanley Kubrick care about the fucking Ninja Turtles?
Right, I mean, look, do we want to go into that? That's a whole other thing. We want to go too far off on it.
That's for the next feature.
Yeah, exactly. When we have you back on, we're going to be doing the AdequateEmily and Going Off's
Rap
breakdown.
Battles album?
Yes, the breakdown. Who really won? And who's
that was an idea that you pitched me years ago. And I fucking told you to hit the bricks.
I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. You're like...
Well, folks, that about wraps it up for another exciting episode of Going Off. Big thanks to our special guest this week, AdequateEmily, for joining us for the Bjork review. And if there's albums that you would like to hear us talk about on a future episode of the show, just head on over to our Ko-fi, that is ko-fi.com/goinoff, GOINOFF. You didn't do it the last few times. I wasn't expecting it, so you surprised me. And we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on our socials. I've got a whole new Twitter in general, so if you want to follow that's at MothMuse, or just stick with the @RiffComs if you just want the YouTube and podcast updates. You don't necessarily care about the selfies and thirst traps. That's fine. I won't take it personal. That's okay. That's not for everyone. It's fine.
And for your boy, you know, Ko-fi.com/rapcritic if you want to make live stream requests as well as like song review requests or movie requests for the Review a New podcast. And also, I'm not sure if you've seen this, but I've been taunting my audience with a new goal tier that I have on my Patreon, patreon.com/rapcritic, if you want to, as well as see the new exclusive episodes and join the Discord and see exclusive episodes and all that fun, sexy stuff. I'm going to be doing a goal where if I get to $1,000 per, if I get to $1,000 goal, I will be going through all of Soulja Boy's catalog on Spotify. Yes, that's right. I dare you chickens to support me enough to get me to that. Well, although you see, I assume that it's not true. I assume these guys love me so much that they would never have me face such a fate. But if you wish to be such a devil, you can head on over to patreon.com/rapcritic and help your boy get to that $1,000 goal, and I will be going through all of Soulja Boy's albums, and the rub is it has to stay at 1,000 because if it goes below, I'm fucking stopping. I'm not gonna keep doing that shit if I'm not getting the support for it. But if it keeps above, yes, I will go through absolutely every album. I will start as soon as it gets to 1,000. So as soon as it gets there, it's like boom. All right, yeah, we'll do it. We'll go. But I doubt you will because you guys are a bunch of chickens that fly. Oh, I used your trigger word.
Are you gonna let RC talk to y'all like that? Like I wouldn't. I wouldn't stand for it personally.
Yeah, this is the point in the movie where I use the word that makes you automatically mad in the sequel because we need to, make the action move forward. So now you've got to do the next thing that, I tell you to do,
I'd get super fucking pissed if I was you folks.
Yeah,
I gotta prove this motherfucker wrong.
We gotta rob this clock tower and head on over to patreon.com/rapcritic. What the fuck were they doing?
You gotta save the clock tower first, for sure.
What were they doing? They were gonna rob a bank or something?
What are you talking about?
Marty, you gotta stop your son from robbing a bank for some reason.
His son. Oh my god, that's right. Yeah, his son had a gun.
A fucking after-school special. It was a fucking after-school special.
I completely forgot about that angle. It's been so long since I've seen Back to the Future 2. I only remember very small things about it.
Because it flips out of control where it's like, oh, this is what we were supposed to do to save your kids, and oh, we didn't think we would actually have to make this movie, so I guess this is what we're doing. You have to save your kids from the future of, I don't know, being criminals. Because in the 80s, the worst thing you could do is, go to jail, be with, the criminal element, you know what I mean? Like, there's like immigrants in there,
I remember the 3D Jaws shark thing.
Oh, it sure is 80s America.
I remember the wanting a Pepsi free. You gotta pay for that. I remember Marty being like, "Oh my god, my mom's got big tits now."
Oh my god, I want to bang my mom in 2 movies.
Now I'm actually down bad for mom. Oh no! Who saw this coming? Whose fetish? Which writer had this fetish?
What are you doing, Robert Zemeckis?
You're being a little too transparent about it now. We can all see through it.
Big. How could you forget the plot line that they clearly wrote at first to start the movie and then had to go like, oh, but then Biff comes in, right? And then this happens.
I remember Marty has a daughter and it's just Michael J. Fox in drag. Again, we could have that Eminem discussion about that.
And whether or not it's okay for Adrian, what's his name, to be used, have his likeness used in a sequel. You know what I mean? We could have that whole discussion. And how that probably relates to Disney doing a whole bunch of bullshit these days,
And fucking Christian
Glover, right? Crispin Glover.
Yeah, he was recast in the movie.
I wanted to say Adrian Brody so bad. They're so similar to me.
Are they?
Yeah, they just both have those faces.
they both do have faces. You're right.
Even though they're clearly like decades of like film apart, like they just seem
they're like 20 years apart, but it's fine. Let's see. Where were we? Patreon.
Yeah, patreon.com/rapcritic if you want to do the Soulja Boy. Support me on that, you cruel sons of bitches.
And the patreon.com/muse, we have Rope Break exclusive episodes and other stuff going on over there, so check all of that out. But that about covers it for this week, folks. Man, what an action-packed show. I say, as we haven't recorded the second half of it yet. But we will here in a minute.
For sure. Hey, it'll be at least adequate.
Oh!
You like that?
That much we can be sure
of. What a note
of.
to go out on.
Yes. Until next time, for Going Off, I'm Muse.
And I'm the Rap Critic. And Kenny Rogers presents Duets of a Lifetime, like me and Bjork doing a copyright-free cover of Islands in the Stream. I'll claim off the shore, too hard to ignore. What are we here for? I can't love you more. And I'll depend on you for our island off the shore.